Welcome to My Hometown, the program that explores clubs, organizations, businesses, and issues across Nassau and Suffolk counties and sheds light on the different towns that are making a difference.
Hello and welcome to My Hometown. My name is Bill Horan, along with my co-host, Nassau Community College student Zac Turkel. And today we're shining the spotlight on book lovers and authors on Long Island.
I don't like to read, but today I'll make the exception, Bill, by introducing you to the Long Island Authors Group.
And joining us today is Roland Allnach, the president, Long Island Authors Group. Roland, welcome to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Thank you for having me this morning. Bill, Zac, it's good to be here.
Right from the beginning, and I'm fascinated by this. What is the Long Island Authors Group, and what's its purpose?
Okay, the Long Island Authors Group is a grassroots organization of authors here on the island, Nassau and Suffolk County. We are principally formed to help authors get their books out in front of readers and our fellow Long Island neighbors.
Wow. And how did the Long Island Authors Group get started?
We've been around for just over 10 years now. We were founded originally by John P. Cardone. He was our founding member. Over the years, we've taken a number of steps. As with any group, you evolve, you change focus. And what we've done over the last 2.5 to 3 years now, we've really tried to assess what it is our members are looking for and what we can provide for them to get value out of their membership. And primarily that is helping them get their books in front of readers, being that is the largest challenge for independent authors.
So what are they looking for exactly?
They're looking for ways to publicize themselves and their books, ways to get into libraries, bookstores, out in front of town fairs. As with every other author, probably, when my first book was published, I thought, great, and then the book is out, and all of a sudden you're faced with this big question of, okay, what do I do now? So with the group, we're trying to fill that gap for authors, particularly for independent authors, because they may not have all the publicity resources or the publicity know-how that a large publisher could provide for them. So for the do-it-yourselfer, for the self-publisher, the indie published author, we intend to put ourselves as a resource for them and provide that service.
And I would guess, just like anybody else, authors probably like to be around other authors, see what someone else is doing, learn from you and the others in their group.
Absolutely. There is a big social aspect to membership in the group, and not just our author group, but I would say for any author or writing group. It is a funny thing as an author, because much of what you do is very secluded, and you're writing, your research, putting your book together, researching how you're going to publish it, eventually going through the publication process. So there's all this stuff you do and all these tasks you have to follow where you are in a room pretty much by yourself. Then the book comes out and you have to switch gears, and now you have to be a public person. And it is a very stark turnaround, and it's the proverbial 180 degrees. So it's great to be with other authors, and when I first joined the group, I found this of great benefit to hear all the other things people are doing or trying to do, or the experiences they've had. And when you're part of any social group, hearing that people have gone through similar things you've gone through, it helps a lot, because you have that great solitary aspect of the writing. So now you get to socialize with other authors, and you hear that, you're really not alone. You are just part of this process, and this is what everybody goes through.
Now, what level of author, if there's such a description, would be the right person to come to you and be interested and show they want to join the club? Is this someone who's been published, is in the process, like the person who you see on the TV sitcoms, they throw a script or a book, this is my book, would you read it, Roland, tell me if it's good, and can you put me down for 100,000 copies?
No, we focus for authors who have been published and are now looking to get their book out in front of readers. There are a lot of services and groups and organizations, whatnot, on the island for writing workshops, for helping authors with the writing process. It's not so much that we're concerned about competing with that, but we decided if we're going to be successful, and really the focus of the group, because you need something to identify your group, right, is to focus on that aspect, the post-publication process. So we don't necessarily look to set up workshops or anything like that for the writing process. Informally, amongst ourselves, we talk about the process and give each other tips or advice, or just hard-learned lessons, so to speak. But really what we are there for is to help the authors who are published get their book out there. And principally for us, that has been for self-published authors, authors who are traditionally published, but most likely with smaller publishers or indie publishers. We do have some authors that are mid-level publishers and with, large publishers, but most of our membership is on that self-publish, indie publish scale.
Now, as I was saying to you before the show, I'm one of those people. I'm a book lover. If I've given the choice, I'd like to look through a bookstore when I have free time.
Yes.
Would a book lover be someone who would be joining to kind of hang around like a groupie? Like some people... No, seriously, they just love firemen or policemen.
You'd be taking up space, Bill. That's the problem.
I'm always taking up space, and too much space, till I get a diet going.
Right.
But maybe Roland has a diet book for me. But... Would that be appropriate or not?
Well, our membership, our meetings, they're for published authors. So someone who has not been published, they would not meet the criteria for membership. But, when we go out and we do events, we have a traveling bookstore that we take around to town fairs. That's principally how we interact with people, from the other side of the page, so to speak. And there are plenty of times, myself, because I'm always there with the bookstore, but when we have signing authors, a lot of people do ask us, what's your creative process? How do you go from one page to a book? How did you choose the way you're going to publish? So we're always open to those questions. Those are common questions. Those are popular questions. And we're happy to answer that for people. There is a lot of curiosity we've found in that part of the book, aside from looking at the book as a finished thing to read. That whole behind the scenes part does draw a lot of interest. And as I said, in an informal way, we're always happy to talk about that.
I find this very interesting. So, again, being a book lover, I just enjoy it. So.
Yes.
Yeah. And Roland, now you mentioned that you have a variety of members. You've had members that have been part of independent publishers, even mid-level publishers and large publishers. How many members do you have so far in this group right now?
Okay, we are close to 80 now. We did a little bit of a restructuring about 2.5 years ago. We brought a number of programs online to really help establish the group's identity and establish our presence in the public. The majority of that has been with our traveling bookstore. We also put together a presentation and workshop catalog, which we distribute to libraries. And once we put those things in place, we brought up a Facebook page for the group. We've had people contact through us who have gone on to become members, but I'm really happy to say that these things really seem to hold value with authors out there. And in the last year and a half, 2 years, we've seen a 60% growth in membership. So we're just below that 80 mark now, and we continue to attract new members. So that's great. We're really happy about that.
And I just want to let our listeners know that you are listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. My name is Zac Turkel, along with Bill Horan, and today we're talking about the Long Island Authors Group with their president, Roland Allnach.
Zach, did you have
I definitely do, because you just mentioned about the traveling
I want to know more
bookstore,
about that.
Earlier. So I hear that, just tell us more a little bit about it and who came up with the idea about it.
Okay, the traveling bookstore was an interesting thing, the way it evolved. We had always gone out to do town fairs, different events, and we would have our tents, a couple of authors sitting there doing a book signing. And the problem we ran into a lot of times is people didn't know who we were or what we were doing there. People used to walk up and ask if we were selling windows or if they could open a bank account with us. And we had to tell them this whole spiel of who we are, why we're there. And if they weren't interested in boats, after all that, they said, "Oh, okay, have a nice day," and they walked by. And
they weren't book lovers.
Yeah. I was sitting at a fair one time, and we were having a bit of a tough day because there wasn't a real book crowd. But I was looking around, and I thought, every other vendor here, whether it's clothes, jewelry, whatever the case may be, it's clear before you even walk into the tent what they're selling, why they're there. And I thought, this is what we really need. We need something that makes us instantly identifiable as authors with boats. So I thought, what's more identifiable than a bookstore? So I went home, I played around with a few ideas, and I built some nice wooden shelves so it had a nice earthy bookstore feel. And then I brought the idea to the rest of the group, and thankfully everyone embraced it. And this is what we do now. So we have 2 white tents that we go around. It has our Long Island Authors Group logo on there. And when people come to our tent, they'll see shelves with books anywhere between 20 and 30 last year. This year we're going to have probably closer to 70 or 80 books on the shelves at every event we attend. And we also have 3 to 4 authors from the group doing a table signing.
And can people buy the books right there?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
Okay.
And of course, we're at the fair. There's no middleman, so there's a little bit of discount on the books, but
all the better.
All the better. Yep. People go to fairs, they're looking for a little discount. But it's nice because when people come in, what we've noticed that the warm reception we get, it's really been incredible because now that people know who we are and what we're there for, they come in a lot of times and right away it's, what is this? Tell me about this. We're so happy to see this. This is so interesting. And once, the conversation gets going and they start looking at the books, they start speaking with the authors who are there and they're like, wow, you people are real. And it's really gratifying for us to make that connection. But really, we're happy to let people know, there's this whole, I like to call it a hidden resource, but there's this whole...
But it is. I mean, you guys...
to an extent,
if you're a reader like myself, we would love to meet you. It's like a food fair. It's interesting people.
Right.
How do they do it? Roland, if somebody's listening and saying, gee, this sounds great, but where do they appear and when would I find them next? Is there a website, phone number, email you can give us to find out more?
Yes, we have our website, which is longislandauthorsgroup.org. No spaces, one whole thing. We're also on Facebook. Our Facebook page is Long Island Authors Group. Very easy to find. I'm the president of the group. If someone wants to contact me, my email is on the group website. It's fiction@rolandallnach.com, which is just my name. They can also drop by my website. So there are a number of ways to get in contact with us. On our website page, we also have a page for Join Us. We have an FAQ page. So if people are interested in learning about the group, if they're interested in joining, it's all right there out in the open for people to see.
And you mentioned about fiction,
Yes.
but are there the authors who do the nonfiction also?
Yes. One of the things that I think makes our group somewhat unique is that there are a number of author groups on the island, but they typically focus on one genre or one age group. To give you an example, there's Long Island romance writers, there's Long Island children's writers and illustrators, but we are, multi-service. So any age group, any genre, we're willing to take a look at it. And really our criteria for membership when we have people apply, we want to make sure that the book is professionally produced, that it's properly edited, it has an ISBN number, and that the person lives on the island because we are Long Island Authors Group.
Now, you're an author and you know what that ISBN stuff is, but what does that mean to the rest of us?
Okay. An ISBN number, when you pick up a book in a bookstore and you look at the back over the barcode, you see that big long number, that's an ISBN number. The reason why we have that as a requirement for people who apply to the group is that number is used by bookstores and libraries to search for books. So a book that doesn't have an ISBN number is not in any of the national databases. It's a very simple explanation of it. But we want people to have that number on their books because if we do go into other venues, if we have a different kind of event coming up, it makes it that much easier for the author's books to be seen, to be found. Certainly what we don't want to hear is that someone had seen an author at one of our events and they went to a library or bookstore and the book or the author could not be located because they didn't have the ISBN number. So that's why we insist that is on there.
Because that's one of those secret languages in your field, but we don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's author publishing lingo, but it is an important part of a book. And for readers, it would be important if they go to, like I said, a bookstore or library and ask for the book and it can't be found.
Yeah, that's kind of I know if I want to find one after I get interested in it, then that's annoying. Roland, at this point in the show, we want to take a brief break and let our audience know that my name is Bill Horan. I'm here with Zac Turkel, and today we're talking about the Long Island Authors Group with President Roland Allnach. You're listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hey, everyone. Let's all stop what we're doing right now and take a moment. That felt good, huh? Just like that, we had a nice, special sort of moment together. Of course, they don't all need to be quiet moments to be special. They could be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments. Moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. Sounds like somebody agrees. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Today, call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
My Hometown is made possible by Herald Community Newspapers. For more local news, visit liherald.com. Got a story to tell? Call 516-569-4000.
And now we return to My Hometown.
Thanks for being with us today here on the Voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Bill Horan. I'm here with Zac Turkel, and today we're talking about the Long Island Authors Group with their president, Roland Allnach. Roland, are there any authors in your group that we would instantly know or have rose to prominence or local fame as part of being in the group?
We have a few. There are a few that pop right to the top of my head. Carrie Ann Flanagan Brodsky, she's written a number of books about paranormal on Long Island.
That's always interesting.
Yes, true crime on Long Island.
Oh, I love that.
She also works with one of the other members of our group, Joe Giaquinto. They go out and do paranormal investigations. So, yeah. Big following.
Would I have to pay you if I wanted Zac to go with that group with paranormal? I'll send him. I mean, I'll be his scholarship backer or something. I want to see him come back with that look on his face. Get me out of here. So, can we talk after the show?
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah. But we have another member, Phil Keith. He lives out more on the East End. He's written some Vietnam era military histories. He's with a major publisher. Linda Maria Frank is another one of the members of our group. She's written a mystery series for young adult readers, the Annie Tillery Mysteries. She's done a lot of work in schools, a lot of appearances. She also has a TV show for interviewing authors called The Writer's Dream on Public Access. It's also on YouTube if people want to check it out. She's interviewed not just authors from our group, but a lot of authors around the island, and it's a really nice format. It's very much like this. It's very organic, and it's about getting behind what goes through authors' minds and how they came about writing their book. But we have. It's sometimes a little difficult for me to identify because we have a fairly large membership, and even though on the board we try to coordinate people as much as possible. We have a lot of members doing a lot of different things, and that's wonderful. That's it's really, I think, a testament to the effort and passion that people put in their books and trying to get their stories or their message out there. So there are a lot of people out there doing a lot of things independent of the group and a lot of things with the group.
And I was looking at your website, and it also says that you have monthly gatherings. Now, can anyone go to these gatherings, or do they have to be members?
It's principally for members. If there is someone, an author, who is considering membership, they can contact us and come in and see what our dinner meetings are about. We do that as a mix of informal and formal. We usually meet a little bit ahead. People can kind of stand around, mingle and gab, and talk to small talk, and then we sit down and we have a dinner and we have a presentation of some sort. In the past, we've had editors come in, we've had people from bookstores come in, we recently had people come in and talk about audiobook production. We've had members from the group present on different topics that they have expertise in from either their professional life or through their writing research. Sometimes we do, which I really enjoy, we do a book showcase where the members of the group, just each person gets a few minutes to stand up and say, look, this is what I wrote and this is how I got into it. And it's a great way to really build the social aspect of the group and to see all the different things people have written.
Now,
I just want to get into audiobooks so bad. It'd be such a cool business. The Cat in the Hat by Dr. Seuss, read by Zac Turkel. That'd be funny.
I had an audiobook once. It was so good. I remember I reached my destination, which was where I was working, and I was driving around the parking lot slowly in circles so I could finish the chapter, because I think it was on Bernie Madoff and how they captured him in that. But it just fascinated me. And the other people in the building must think, he's a little bit out there.
No.
But,
Bill, you would want to park quickly if you heard my voice on the audio.
I'm sure I would.
Audiobooks are like the new big thing. Years ago it was the ebook, and now the audiobook market is really expanding. I've had 2 of my books done into audio, and this is a little bit of a funny story. It's really neat having that done, and those 2 books I had done with a traditional publisher, so they said, we're going to send them out, we're going to get the audiobooks done. I was like really excited. So when it was done, they sent me a copy of the file, and I was so excited to listen to it. And the narrator, he was a retired radio guy. He had the real smooth radio voice, this excellent diction and everything else. So, but I found it impossible to listen to, because as soon as the reading started, I'm like, those are my words. I was used to hearing them in my head in my voice. So, audiobooks, because of that, experience, it felt like someone was reaching in my head and pulling the words out of my head. Because, when your book goes to publication, between writing it and proofreading it and then the edits, you've read the book 8 or 10 or more times. So you are so locked into hearing it in your head a certain way and in your internal voice, and then to hear someone else read it, it's, at least for me, it was
just
jarring.
Doesn't sound right, though, I'm guessing, right? If someone else is reading it, unless they're really connected with you or on the same track.
Yeah. Well, again, the reader I had for the 2 books, he did a great job. So I don't mean to.
Yeah, no, I just mean it's different.
All.
It's just different than the way you might. Envision.
I mean, for me, and again, this may be just me, but I found like it felt as if I had written my thoughts down on a page, and I was quiet, and someone was reading them back to me. It was odd.
Well, I just want to let our listeners know that you are listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Zac Turkel, along with Bill Horan, and today we're talking about the Long Island Authors Group with their president, Roland Allnach.
Roland, another question I'd like to know about, and on behalf of our listeners, where and when are these events? How often do you have events? Like, do you have like a golf outing? Some groups have that, or is it basically one a month, one every weekend?
Okay.
And who can go to them?
It's open to everyone. We go and we're a vendor at a town fair. So when people show up, when between the clothing stores and the food vendors and everybody else, they will find something unique, a little oasis of books, which is our traveling bookstore, Long Island Authors Group traveling bookstore. We go to a number of events each year. In the past and this year as well, we've done Port Washington Harbor Fest, Seacliff Mini Mart, Eisenhower Park Art and Craft Fair. We try to mix in a few things new each year, to see, not only to mix up where we go, but for other people to see us and really find where, real book lovers are, because that's our audience. We've also gone to the Brooklyn Book Fair the last 2 years, which is really exciting because it's like the book event, one of the main book events nationally. So that's great. But we set up, and anybody who's at the fair who walks by, they're welcome to step in, and we love to talk to people, and hopefully we put a nice exciting new book in.
And is it just
hands.
local authors, or can anybody who's an author take part in this or come to one of them? So,
well, for the traveling bookstore, the authors that we have doing signings, those are members. The traveling bookstore has also served as a great tool for authors who are not aware of us or who have not seen it in action. They come and look at it, and for authors, when they see it, they understand the value of it right away, and they're interested. So if they want to talk about applying for membership, I'm always happy to talk to them about that. But otherwise, it's open to anyone. So whoever is at the fair.
While we're talking about this again for our audience, Long Island Authors Group, Someone wants to know more about it. How do they get in touch?
Best place, stop by our website, longislandauthorsgroup.org, no spaces, or they can drop by our Facebook page, which is also Long Island Authors Group. And on the Facebook page, we'll put postings up as to actual dates for our events, news items from our authors, appearances, new publications, whatever our authors want to share with the reading public. On the website, we have, which is really nice, we have an index for our authors, so people can drop in and they can search by an author name, book title, genre, ISBN number. So we have a nice database there to help people out. And there's information about the group and whatnot. So a lot of information.
Sounds like a good group. I think you're going to get some people checking in with you, Zach.
I hope so.
Yeah. So I want to lighten up this conversation.
Okay.
So let's pretend it's just the two of us in this room, Roland, because I don't know if Bill should hear this,
all right,
because he'll ridicule me for this.
I'll get
now,
you.
as you know, I'm not really a book lover, and I don't really read that much, and I am a little ashamed of myself for saying that. But if I were to read one book, what do you think I should read?
If you're not big on reading entire books, I would recommend a short story collection.
Okay.
They're great because you can sit down, read a snippet, get it beginning to end, and then move on. Also, if you come across a story that isn't particular to your fancy, you can move on without, losing, quote unquote, the entirety of the book. So we have a number of authors in our group who have done short story collections. I've done a few, but I usually, that's what I recommend to people who come to our bookstore and say, well, I'm not really a reader. And I ask them, well, are you interested in short stories? Or when they say, I don't really have a lot of time, I say, well, do you have 15 minutes, 30 minutes? And you could read a short story, you could read something else, and just anything to get your feet wet. Because I firmly believe that once people start reading, they're going to want to read more, especially if they read something that they like, and it's just a snowball that goes down the hill. And before you know it, they'll be digging into 300 and 400 page books. Wow. Because I think reading more than any other creative or entertainment source or endeavor is such a personal experience, because even though you're reading something that an author wrote, you create the reality of those words in your head as a reader. And for each reader, that's always going to be, the ultimate personal experience. So anybody can go to a movie or listen to a song or something like that. But with the book, it will always have that impact. And I think that's why people, when they read certain books, they'll hold on to them for a lifetime, or they'll remember certain pieces of it. And because it has that impact, it's a personal experience.
Roland, I'm sure you meet many interesting people. I keep thinking your parties must be interesting. The romance writers get together, the paranormal people going up to one another, go, meet any good ghosts lately? And how many serial killings did your guy do? 18? I got one with 20. I really would like to be, what do they call it, the fly on the wall. Yeah. We're going to wrap up, but once again, tell us where we can get in touch with the Long Island Authors Group.
Yes, best two places. They can people can drop by on Facebook. We're on Facebook at Long Island Authors Group, or by our website, www.longislandauthorsgroup.org.
Roland, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Again, to our audience, our guest has been Roland Allnach, the Long Island Authors Group president. And I'd like you to know that I'm Bill Horan. I'm here with Zac Turkel, and we thank you for listening to this week's edition of My Hometown.
We'd like to get your feedback on My Hometown. Send your comments to WHPC at ncc.edu. Nassau Community College, where success starts and continues. Till next time, this is Bill St. James. And remember, there's no town like your hometown.